All right, guys, welcome back to the next episode of the Grand Prairie PD podcast. I'm your host, Nate, and I'm here with Whitney today.
Hello again.
Katie is off doing police things. We're here with Officer John. He is a member of our last member of our K9 unit.
Newest, yes.
Newest, okay. But we talked to the other two. We do have an SRO K9 guy, though.
I think he actually got his dog before me.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, so rookie.
Yeah, well, almost 7 years, and I'm still the new guy, so.
Yeah, dang. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How do you get started in this fantastic job and end up on the greatest department on the planet?
Well, where do you want me to start?
After conception.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say, do I start at the birth canal?
Don't start
Or
there.
do I?
When did you know you wanted to do this job?
Yeah.
I don't really know exactly. I know, like in high school, I was working at a steakhouse as a waiter, and the officers in that city used to come in and eat, and I was like, dude, these dudes look freaking cool, you know? Like, and I talked to them like, hey, do you like your job or whatever, you know? And so I was like 18, about to go to college. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. My mom, she's a teacher, so she was pushing education hard. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? My older sisters, like, they knew. And they were like great or A students, you know. They knew what they were going to do with their lives, and I'm just like an average student, just having fun, working. Like, I loved working, actually. I worked way more than, like, a high school student should. But I don't know. I liked the responsibility. I liked having a little money in my pocket. And
Waiting tables could be fun. It could almost be like a social scene, too.
oh, it was interesting. It was interesting for sure. So learned a lot of skills doing that, especially, like, you know, you're 18 and you're dealing with these 40, 50-year-old dudes, and you know, they'll mouth off to you, and you just kind of you got to take it. You know, you can't like fight them in the middle of a restaurant or something. So
Good.
you're just like, okay, you know, all right, you know, you ordered your steak well done, you know, but you're mad that it's got a little char on it. Like, what do you want me to do about it? It's well done, you know.
You shouldn't be in a steakhouse anyway.
Exactly, you don't belong here. So I don't know. Eventually, I just kind of decided, like, I don't know, maybe I'll be a cop one day. My grandfather was a firefighter. He retired from DFR.
Oh, cool.
And he was like, be a firefighter. And I was like, I don't know about burning buildings and I don't know the ladders. Not a big fan of heights. So I was like,
That's what kept me from it, too.
I don't know about this. And but he told me, you know, he's like, go apply at DPD. And eventually I did. Didn't work out for me. That's probably a blessing in disguise. Probably edit that out, but we'll see.
They all know it.
So I decided, you know, hey, I'll pursue this route, you know, and what does every aspiring cop do, you know, and go to Sam Houston State University.
Right.
Eat 'em up, cats.
What? There we go.
Yes, come on.
Get a criminal justice degree, because naturally it's the most useless degree you can get.
Right.
Although the name is deceiving, you would think it would.
Yeah,
it would help.
yeah.
Right,
I mean,
the
you know,
sound.
there's definitely some nuggets of information that have been helpful and kind of learning, but you don't really, it doesn't prepare you for a career in this. It just kind of introduces you to what are the options out there. Do you want to go this route, that route, whatever?
Oh, okay. Never heard of it like that.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, you learn a lot of the psychology of it, the sociology of it. You know, learned what recidivism is, you know, and why people recidivate. And if that's the word,
I was just wondering that.
Yeah, I don't know if
recidivate
recidivate is a word, but
But we knew and understood.
I know what you
the
mean.
message.
Yeah.
so, and then I got
means do stuff again.
got a minor in accounting while I was there.
Okay.
Which my goal at the time was like, I want to go to the FBI. You know, everybody thinks the FBI is the place to go. And like as my accounting minor went on, my grades went down and down and down. I was like, okay, there's probably not a future in this for me. So got a criminal justice degree, came back home. I spent about 6 or 8 months working for a school district, delivering textbooks every day to the schools, applying to police departments, you know, and I don't know when you applied, but you know, in the late 2000s, early 2010s, it was actually really hard to get hired. You'd have hundreds of people applying for 5 positions, and
I was in the process at my department, which was a big department, for 2 years.
Yeah, and so taking tests, and like you could pass everything, you could do great. They say, hey, you could be a viable candidate, but you didn't score high enough, or we didn't rate you high enough on this, and so you're lower on the list, but we would hire you. We don't have enough spots.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting hired at an agency to the south of us, a small agency. They gave me a shot. Worked there for about 2.5 years.
Oh yeah, so you
got on
you
another
got on
agency.
your previous agency. It was smaller than this one, correct?
A lot. Yeah. Like 3 was our minimum staffing for the night,
Holy
and
crap.
4 was the maximum.
I didn't know it was that small.
Yeah. Well, they've grown. I mean, I've been here 12 years, so they've
That's true,
grown
yeah.
since then. But yeah, when I was there, I mean, less than 20,000 population. So yeah, we were running like
Wow.
three folks a night.
What
and
year
then,
did you hire on?
It was like, it didn't, I say 2009, but it was December 28th, 2009.
I'm a vet.
So I got 3 years.
But dude,
in-
how many years though did you say 2009?
Oh yeah,
Just so you
When
kind of
I-
had a little bit of credit.
When I get my like 15 or 20 years on, I'm gonna get my serving stance. It's gonna say 09 for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
You know, 3 days in 09, but by God, it was 09.
It was 09.
Mine says
It was.
12. I think I actually started in 11.
Yeah.
But so you worked there.
Yeah.
Well, how different was that from where we're at now?
Yeah.
Vastly different. It was a completely different world.
Yeah.
Like I came here and I remember being in field training and we were going to take a burglary of a habitation report and you know, here we do that checklist, you know, like a security checklist or whatever. And I didn't do it. And he's like, "Hey, did you do your security checklist?" And I was like, "No, I didn't." I was like, "What is that? I've never heard of that." And he's like, telling me. And then I was like, "Yeah, I've never taken a burglary of a habitation report." Like 2 years as a cop there, I'd never taken a burglary of a habitation report. Like it didn't happen, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Very low crime, you know?
Yeah, I wasn't breaking into places there either.
Yeah.
Because like the cops or no cops, everybody there has a gun.
Everybody's
Oh,
got
for
a gun,
sure.
for sure.
For
So,
sure.
yeah.
And everyone who lives there is cops.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, that was like my biggest complaint is that every night I stopped either a Fort Worth, Dallas, or an Arlington cop
Right.
on traffic. Because that's really all we had to do was get out on the highways and stop cars. And I stopped cops every night almost.
Dang. I got stopped by Midlothian a lot too. I think until they learned my car because I drove a 92 Cadillac DeVille.
All right. Yeah. You get lit up in Midlothian.
Yeah. And the no tint on the windows whatsoever. And you know how I look, like with the tattoos and the bald head and whatnot, and they see me drive through, and they'll like go to pass me and see me and be like, no.
Yeah, this dude's for sure in a prison gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's delivering narcotics to
Gotta
the
stop.
city.
And then and it turns out one of my license plate lights was terribly unreliable. So I got pulled over quite a bit.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Anyway, so smaller town.
Yeah.
Obviously, it worked out to where you prefer. It wasn't your cup of tea. You wound up coming here eventually. Was there anything over there though that you felt like was more like you kind of missed or you look back on? Because I know as laterals, you come to a new department and you kind of get a little nostalgic about some things. Where you came from, is there anything like that stands out to you?
Not really.
No?
It's not that it was a bad place.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad at all. It was just it was purely proactive for the most part. And I got really, really proficient at DWIs, which is kind of like a lot of people. Well, you know, there wasn't a whole lot to do out there, so you know, we became very proficient. I probably did more DWIs there in 2 years than I did in 12 years here at Grand Prairie. Because
Holy crap!
every week, almost every night, you were trying to find
Really?
them. So now, you know, like Monday, Tuesdays, not a whole lot of drunks on the road, but pretty much the other 5 nights of the week, it's fair game. You know, there's a lot of drunks out there. So
Man, I thought we had a lot.
yeah. Well,
Never had-
we'd get out and work the highways. So
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's a lot of just people passing through, going home. You know,
Yeah.
You have to ever get in a position of having to arrest a cop?
no, I never did, never have.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've like, hey, those guys are making a stop. Like, oh crap, that's a cop. You know, but
Oh, I thought
me
you
personally,
been there. Like I've been
no,
arrested.
no DWIs for me.
I was like, oh.
Let me
no
state the
DWIs. for me.
record. What would that be like? So when you stop and it is, hey, it's an officer. What is that like? What is the exchange? I don't know. Like, how does it go? Is it just talking?
Treat them the same
The
way
same way,
as
yeah.
anybody else. I mean, you know, we're held to a higher standard, honestly.
Yeah.
So you should. When I see that stuff happen, I feel more angry at them for like you know, you swore to live to a higher standard and you're not holding that standard. And we all make mistakes. You know, a mistake of heart is one thing, but like this was a decision, especially DWI. Like you know, if I drink X amount of drinks, I'm going to be too drunk, or I'm going to be past that limit. You're also placing people at risk.
Yeah.
You know, coincidentally, a DWI fatality is the reason I work here. You know, so it's a good story.
Yeah.
No, not really, but so I
do
mean,
wanna
you know,
hear
there's
that.
Doesn't sound up with them.
there's implications, you know, when you get out there and do it, and it's not just like, oh, you go to jail, you lose your license, you might lose your job, whatever. Like
Which
you
you
could kill
will.
somebody. I've seen a lot of fatalities from DWIs.
Oh, yeah.
I worked, you know, here at Grand Prairie, I've worked Friday, Saturday for the majority of my career in the K9, and that's all we, it's all the time. DWI wrecks all night, Friday, Saturday night, and occasionally there's a fatality with it. So
yeah, and things like murders and gangs and stuff like that, they tend to get a lot of attention in the media, and it's obviously an important set of crimes and circumstances to prevent. You don't want to just say whatever, but there's such a big difference. Like, for instance, like most ordinary people don't find themselves getting shot at. So much of the time, people who are victims of shootings and things like that, there's some other circumstances surrounding it, where there's gang affiliation, participation in narcotic sales, whatever. Obviously, there's exceptions, and I'm not saying that if you get shot, it's your fault. But just by and large, there's other things at play. And everyone loves like the homicide. Yeah, go stop these guys. Everyone talks about murder rates, bring murder rates down and stuff like that. But oftentimes it's your traffic cops, your guys who focus on DWIs and things such as that. They kind of get the that's a dick cop. He's just
he's just writing tickets, or he's just taking drugs to jail.
But those are the offenses that truly are random.
Yeah.
You will have a completely normal, never stepped out of line family just driving on the road and dead, all of them dead like that. So it's always been a little bit of a conundrum for me, combined with the low penalty degree that DWI is.
That, and just like on a street level, it requires more work than pretty much any other offense we could arrest somebody for. I can clear most arrests in 2 to 3 hours max. And DWIs are like, with blood draws and the whole process and all the paperwork, dude, it's 4 to 5 hours, and it just...
That part makes sense to me, though, because it's just a result of rich people getting arrested for it. And people who can afford really good lawyers, and they set these precedents where other lawyers like, oh crap, he beat the case. I'm gonna do that.
You gotta have this evidence. You gotta have this evidence.
Right. And on our side, we kind of offset it by heading them off by getting the evidence to begin with. So
a theft arrest super easy. Like, oh look, there's security camera footage. He put that in his pocket. He walked out. He goes to jail.
Right.
It's open and close. But DWI, it's like. And a lot relies on the credibility of the officer, his observations, his experience level, doing the tests and all that. Now, the great thing now is we do blood draws pretty much 100% of the time now.
Right.
Blood doesn't lie. So, and if you want, you can test for narcotics and stuff too, so you can kind of, you have more evidence to show.
Correct.
But I mean, hell, they fight the blood test too. So,
Yeah, because it's all about breaking it down incrementally, and once you get to court and, hey, if this step wasn't right, that got you to this evidence, that might be damning. But if I can cast doubt on the steps that you used to get there, then I can have that suppressed. And then a guy who on body camera is literally stumbling, drunk, falling over, trying to talk to us, we'll get his case dismissed. Which, it is what it is. The system is the way it is for a reason as far as getting a defense. And you do have to follow. That's why it's so important for us to follow the rules the entire time, because they get something tossed like a blood, you're done.
Right.
But cameras helps a lot too, because I could just be really bad at it, but the only drunks I've ever arrested for DWI were always really, really drunk. So either I'm missing all the ones who are like kind of drunk, or I just got lucky, because all the ones it's like I'm going to try to help you stand up while we talk about your name. It's like, sure, you can look at the camera and I'm sure
it helps when they vomited on themselves in the car and you're like, all right, like, how many beers did you have? Like 20. Like, all right, you might be DWI.
Appreciate your honesty, buddy.
Transparency works.
So how did a DWI fatality wind up getting you here?
So we got in my last agency, we got dispatched to it was like an OnStar notification of a crash, and so we go out there and find it, and we're like looking at him. The truck's upside down in a ditch. And we're like, this guy's gonna die. I'm watching him die right now. And we're like, call Grand Prairie. It's in their city. And so of course, I'm coming from this small town. We're 3 officers maybe on the streets that night, and I'm seeing all these guys come down the highway, like car after car after car after car, squad cars showing up, and there's a lieutenant that shows up and a sergeant that shows up and traffic guys, and they're like this whole operation. And I'm like, holy smokes! Like there's a little bit more to policing than what we're doing here. Not to badmouth them, but we just didn't have the people. We didn't have the personnel. And so I actually got talking to a lieutenant and Severance.
Oh, no.
So he like left right as I got hired.
Okay.
So, and this is 2000, probably late 2011, early 2012, and he's like, "Hey man, we got this new Chief Dye, and he's taking the reins off. We're out here chasing cars. We're putting bad guys in jail. We're getting pay raises. We're getting take-home Tahoes if you live in the city. Like we're hiring like crazy." And I'm like, maybe that sounds like the place for me. And so went home and I did my research, and I don't even think I ever did a write-out. Probably should have, but I didn't. And I was just like, their website looks cool. Like, let me go apply there. And I was like, the pay raise was substantial. And so applied and got hired in July 2012. Started the Lateral Academy 1.
Wow.
Oh, were you?
Lateral Academy.
See, when I got here, 'cause I was Lateral Academy 5. I didn't realize that you were that new. I don't know. For some reason, I thought you'd been here even longer.
Dude, we were hiring like crazy back then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So the guy died?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I think it like turned out his wife was divorcing him or leaving him or something. He went out and got hammered at a bar and was driving home and flipped his truck. Dude, it was the wildest thing. He had this giant, you know how people have like the toolbox that goes in their bed of their truck? It wasn't like that. It was a huge like cube. And he went off-road, and I guess it wasn't like bolted in. And I don't know what it was, like a toolbox or something. He goes off-road. He goes into this ditch. It flips the truck over like the back end over the front end. It throws that box in the air. He flips the truck over, completes the flip, and then the box lands on the bottom of the car.
Shut up.
And so we get there and we're like, how in the world did this happen? And that was the only thing we could figure out is like the force of flipping the truck must have launched it in the air, and then it just happened to land square on the bottom of the truck, upside down in a ditch.
That sucks.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah, you hate to see those, but also it's like that the cop, this I guess more cynical part of your brain is always glad when it's a single vehicle, when it's someone that's making those choices, and it's like, okay, at least you didn't hit anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like there's definitely a shift. I think it was my second or third day of field training at my last agency. I actually had a double fatality plane crash.
What?
Yeah, I was 23 years old, fresh out of college.
You said your
previous agency, yeah.
Okay.
We had a little municipal airport right on the border, and this is a double fatality plane crash. And I remember like that messed me up for a few days. Like, I'm a young kid.
Yeah.
And seeing that, and I'm like, dude, I can't do this career. I can't look at this every day,
Every day.
And then now the cynical part of me is like, oh well, that was his decision. He got drunk, he wrecked his car. Yeah, it is what it is.
Right.
I'd move on. So.
Like now I know there's a push for like the peer support and being able to talk through things after like what you saw. Did you have that during that time or no, that wasn't?
Absolutely not. No, just keep it to yourself. Suck it up and move on.
Yeah.
So I got away from my FTO and I called my mom at this is like 9 or 10 at night. I called her like, Mom, I don't know if I can do this anymore,
Yeah.
And she kind of was like, well, you'll be okay. Finish your shift. We'll talk about it when you wake up because I was working nights and we'll talk about it. And I showed back up the next night, and I don't remember how much of an effect it had on me. I know it bothered me that night, but you move on and just learn to deal with it. My fear is that maybe one day it'll all catch up, and it'll just hit you, maybe in retirement or something, and you're just like, holy crap! Like I saw a lot of dead people, I saw a lot of destruction. I did a lot of wild stuff where I could have lost my life, and so
Yeah, it's funny. I never heard anybody else say that, but I have the same thought because I've always viewed people talk about like depression or whatever as an illness, and or I don't know if that's still there. It's always changed of what you're allowed to say and what you're not. But excuse me, I'm not sick. It's allergies. I promise.
Like,
my wife was like, my eyes were puffy and my eyes were red this morning. She's like, did you take your medicine? And I was like, no, I ran out. So I had to go buy some like 12-hour allergy pills, and I feel better now.
Dude, as soon as the wind picks up, I'm done.
Yep.
Texas.
Yeah. But like I always had this thought about things like depression. You see guys who have these otherwise, happy lives, and then they just go off the deep end and either do something crazy or kill themselves. I've always had a view of that. It's kind of like, I hope that doesn't get me. Like not because like I feel I would do that, but it's like you look at people like that and it's like, man, if it could happen to them and it could just be sudden, I hope the guy I never found myself in a predicament like that. It's almost like an uncontrollable sort of thing. But yeah, I've always had that same thought. Like I'm gonna, because every once in a while, like you'll sit down with, say me and you, we don't work together anymore. We might run into each other in the hall, and start talking about stuff we used to do together. And you start thinking about stuff that you hadn't thought about in a long time. You're like, oh crap, that was wild. Yeah. When at the time that was just call 7 of 12 you took.
Right. It was like that motorcycle pursuit you're talking about. I'm like, dude, what were we doing? Like. It's one thing if the juice is worth a squeeze on it, but I mean, it's just a motorcycle. There was nothing more, and you don't know it going into it, but there was nothing more to it. And I'm like, we're out here driving wild and 120, 130 miles an hour and chasing cars and motorcycles, and it's like,
Yeah, I will say we did an exceptionally good job in that instance.
Probably.
I think we did. I never got north and no, we kept going north and west. I never got those two mixed up, so I was proud of myself. But the thing is too, if I hop in a squad car right now and somebody takes off, I'm gonna chase them. Like I don't know. I haven't been on the street for a little bit to know if I have that gear to kind of downshift to yet. But I see it on body cam a lot, and every time I see it happen, I've seen guys lose. I've seen officers lose chases where I get mad. I'm like, dude, come on. But I've never seen one that got terminated by the officer in the chase that I didn't agree with. Every time it happens, I'm like, yeah that's the right call.
Yeah.
I had one on 20 not long ago. It's like 5, 6 o'clock at night, and dude's doing it not like fast for a chase. He's only doing like 100, but he's doing 100 at 5 o'clock, and he's just booking it on the shoulder. And the officer was like, "Nah, screw this." And I was like, "Yeah, that's definitely the right call." So I hope I got back on that.
Yeah, it's hard to terminate.
It is. It's very, very, very
Especially coming from my early years here, like there was no terminating.
Right.
We chased you.
Yep.
No matter what, you better have a really good reason why you terminated a chase.
Yeah.
And, so society's changed, the department's changed, and the view on that obviously has changed, and so now it's like, well, hey, use your best judgment, and there's no repercussions for terminating.
And that's what I was gonna say. I think we're doing it the right way in that because a lot of departments they just won't trust their people, and they'll say you're not chasing unless these conditions are met, and then offenders learn the policy. And it sounds silly, but they do.
Fighting it right now. They're trying to do a freedom of information to get pursuit policy, and the chief won't release it because he said if this gets out, like the criminals will use it against us, and they actually had to do a city council vote. The city council voted not to release it. So there's only
I wonder how that works. I'd love to get into the legal side of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know all the aspects of that, what we can and can't refuse to release, but I know we have some discretion, especially if it's an ongoing investigation or if it places officer at risk of something, in danger, for that information to be released, we won't release it. So.
Yeah. You specifically in your role as K9, we all chase, we all fight, we deal with not just traumatic calls, but like high speed calls. High speed not being literal, but just like exciting.
High stress.
High stress, yes, that's the right one. You deal with an exceptional amount of that because as K9, the burglary of buildings, every single vehicle chase, almost I would assume every foot chase, any officer assist, everybody else is out there tied up on calls. You're not. You're just going to where any of us could need help. So how much of did you notice like a heightened level of stress once you got into that role versus just a normal logging in and taking calls, or do you feel like you kind of got used to it quicker?
I don't know if maybe it coincided with my probably about 7-8 year mark when you start kind of get that burnout, and also doing that. I mean, there was an exceptional amount. Like as a patrol guy, you can kind of take your calls and do. I don't want to say the bare minimum, but you don't have to be a high producer.
Right.
And you're never gonna have any problems. Well, as long as you're responsible, take care of your business, nobody's gonna mess with you. But when you want to get into these specialized units, like you got to produce every day.
Yep.
There very rarely are down days. Right. Especially being an asset like that, like everybody asks for me. Patrol, deployment, narcotics, major crimes. Everybody's calling for you. If they need to find drugs or if they need to find a bad guy, they're calling you. So there was, definitely a lot of stress. Like the calls themselves didn't really bother me. It was more so the stress of like, oh well, my peers in the unit, they've made this many arrests this month, or they've found this many drug finds this month, and I'm not quite there yet. Like, oh crap, it's the end of the month, I better go get my numbers up.
Right.
Not to say we have quotas or anything like that, but
there's definitely a self-imposed internal pressure of I want to measure up to the guys I'm working with.
Right. You don't want to be the weakest link in your unit.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there was that stress that probably I imposed on myself. I never really had issues from the department. I just the fear of not of not producing and maybe getting to that point where the department's like, hey man, you need to step your game up, or we're gonna have to do something about it. So,
well, because like all police work, so much of it's outside of your control. I mean, if you get called to do 5 drug sniffs, you do 5 drug sniffs, but 5 people don't have drugs.
Right. It is what it is.
What do you want to do?
And that's in reality, that's what they want to see. They don't want to see a dude or an officer that's got a dog in his car and he's just not doing anything. Right. If I go do 5 sniffs and we no fines, oh well, it is what it is. Maybe we didn't find it. Maybe it was in an internal compartment. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm not going in there to find it. So, and that's the most disgusting that you can do in law enforcement, by the way. But it is what it is.
Now, was there like handler type training, some type of specialized training you had to do beforehand? What was that?
Yeah. So I guess we hit on that. So
That's why I like having her around, because you and Emily both ask questions that to me it's like I know because I've talked to him before. Right. But
I
appreciate it.
Yeah. So we I guess I can kind of just hit on where the dogs come from and all that. So most of the dogs that we select are imported from like Europe. Everybody asks, I don't know why we don't breed them here as much. We just don't. They're mainly imported from Europe, and they get a base level of training over there, and then they get imported over here, and they could be military dogs, they could be police dogs, they could be service dogs. It just depends on what that dog's kind of genetic traits are a right fit for whatever job. So we go down there, we select dogs, and then they stay down there for a few months, continuing to get training from the vendor, and then we go down there. The school I went to, we went down there, is down near San Antonio. We lived there for about 4 weeks where you're training every day with the dogs. Get your national certification at the end of that, and then you come back and you just hit the streets running. Like, you got a certified official police dog, and it's time to go to work.
How thorough did you find the training? Because I know, like in the police academy, you do the academy, and it's like, oh, I'm ready to go out and be a cop now. Then the second you walk in the street, you're like,
yeah, it's exactly like the academy. Like we can do the basic tasks, but like we can go through a building with a dog and he's not going to turn around and bite me, and he's going to go find the bad guy and bite him. But then it's like you hit the streets and it's like, oh, by the way, it's you, the dog, and 5 backup officers. And I hope your dog doesn't bite one of the backup guys.
At least 3 of those backup officers are like me, and
terrified of dogs. Yeah. And so we do kind of a sort of a mini field training for especially a new handler. I don't know, the other guys are getting new dogs, but they're experienced handlers, so we didn't have to do that. Right. But for a brand new handler, we're gonna 2 to 4 weeks or so, they're gonna ride with one of the other handlers and just troubleshoot things, because it's like being a rookie all over again. Yep. Like, I know how to be a cop. I don't know how to be a cop with a dog. So you're learning that whole process. And
your dogs hang out in the back while you ride together?
Well, no, not more than one dog. One of the dogs will put at the kennel at the station, and then we'll take the new dog out.
I wouldn't know if that was like a social thing for them.
No, it would be a murderous bloodbath back there.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
No.
I never thought about that. They don't like each other?
No.
Really?
I just thought that it was like
me too. It's like, they're both
together.
dogs.
Dude, these are like testosterone fueled, filled.
Okay.
So it's like guys on SWAT from different cities.
We all do the same job, but I hate you.
Right. Yeah.
That's funny. I'm sorry. We were talking a second ago, and it occurred to me. We were talking about like funny old stories. I always tell a story about when I did my ride out here. And I forgot it was you that was there.
You rode out with AJ, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a wild time.
You can make me cry, dude.
Yeah. Sorry. That was a you two though. I was like, yeah, I'm a hire on there for sure.
Tell the story, dude.
I think it gets cut every time I do. But so I was doing a ride out, and I had no preparation for having done the ride out. Mm-hmm. I had a buddy who was already over here. It was in narcotics, and he'd been trying to get me to hire on, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna stay where I'm at. Everybody says, the Department of Mat's gonna get better. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. And Sergeant Robinson, who worked here previously, had called me. I was at my mother-in-law's house. I was just hanging out. I don't think I had my badge on me. I had my gun, but I didn't have a holster. I was like, we just popped over the house real quick. We're gonna go back home. He's like, no, you're riding out tonight. I was like, okay.
Did you know Robinson through your dad?
Not at all. No.
Oh.
Only through Justin put me in contact with him.
Oh, okay.
Justin or Manny did. And he's like, yeah, no, you're gonna ride tonight. And I was like, okay, I'll run to Walmart and grab some slacks. And so I did. I ran to Walmart and I grabbed some slacks, and I was like, I went out to ride out, and it was super cold. And I think I had a jacket. In fact, I know I
black
did.
jacket. Yeah, you had a black jacket on. I remember that.
Yeah, and so we're going about our night, and AJ's just kind of taking me around. First thing he does is show me places to eat. That's
the most AJ thing you could do.
Yeah. And kind of fielding all my questions and whatnot. And we're going through we answered a couple of calls or whatever about we were in an apartment complex and like an abandoned vehicle or something. And I was like, hey, I don't have a flashlight on me. And I was like, I know I'm just a ride along, but I feel weird. So he's like, okay, he give me one of his flashlights. And he's like, oh, I forgot to ask, are you carrying your gun? And I was like, no. He kind of stopped. He's like, you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm not carrying. He's like, okay. And kind of went about our day. And so it felt super weird just with his flashlight and no pistol. and
Halt.
Yes, security.
Get on the
I'm going to
ground.
say it again. And anyway, we wound up eventually. I don't know if we covered you or
It was y'all stop, or it was a stranded, wasn't it?
was a stranded, yeah.
Stranded in the roadway.
Yeah, we wound up helping him push it off the road. And at some point during this interaction,
Was it all three of us pushing, or was it just you two?
I think it was all three of us. Oh, I'm sorry. I think it was just us two because
I think I was following in the car, blocking
that's what it was.
traffic or something. Yeah.
And at some time in helping out this Good Samaritan, we realized that this Good Samaritan's vehicle was stolen. I don't remember how we came to that realization.
I think dispatcher's like, "Hey, are you clear to copy?" And we're like, "Go ahead." Yeah, the vehicle's showing 54, and we're like, "Oh shit!" And we're like pushing this car out of the roadway. This dude's helping us.
You're
You know?
Yeah, worst cops ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we get pushed up in the parking lot, and I don't have to wait for confirmation on warrants for him or the vehicle or whatever. I just remember thinking because I didn't know what was going on either.
Yeah.
Because y'all know your codes, you know that you have your earpieces in, and I'm just like, we're all just like got really serious and stopped being nice to this guy and standing around staring at him, and so we're just standing around staring at him for a while, and it's me and John, we're standing there, and AJ's in the car, and dude just takes off, and I was like, the hell's happening? And obviously John takes off, and I was like, well, I'm
I'm a cop too. I'm
Okay,
going.
I'm gonna chase
let's
him.
go.
No
And
gun.
I forgot about the lack of uniform and vest and gun and badge.
Legal
and
authority
legal
and all
authority,
that. You know, I mean, it's
Ooh,
state of
yeah.
Texas still, technically. You know, you're good.
Yeah, but I wound up catching the dude, and it was just a great all around experience.
And the reason I remember he had a black jacket is because, you know, I'm wearing all my stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's faster than me, but he was faster than me that
yeah.
night, at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember him in front of me. I'm like, who is this bald dude? Is he even a cop? What is going on here? We're running and we're stop, get on the ground. And then I see like he's like shedding his black jacket, like throws it in the middle of the street and he
It
takes
sounds
off.
like a movie.
So this dude's like running up this little embankment kind of up towards a wrought iron
Where
fence.
were we, by the way?
I think we were on, what's the road? Regent, I think. Regent C that runs behind North Budget. We were right there where you turn in between the Whataburger and then it curves back and goes northbound.
Gotcha, okay.
And I think we had pushed him up into a parking lot there and then he was running north on Regency.
Okay, that makes sense.
And he was trying to get it back into the Budget Suites, but he hit that wrought iron fence and it was like 8 or 10 feet tall. He's not going anywhere. And
yeah.
so, you know,
Yeah, it was fun.
you got to meet future officer.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He corrected me too because he wasn't able to tase him. He said I kept getting away because he couldn't tase him. And I was like, oh, I know it's a thing. I know y'all could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Man.
Yeah, it was the only rideout I've ever seen that got called into the lieutenant's office and disciplined.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even work here. So
Yeah.
Wow.
I did actually. I had a great time, and that was
Legendary.
the second. That was like the second chase thing we had that night. And I was like, man, I'm going to work here because the
Yeah.
thing I was afraid of was it being a boring suburb, and it was a blast. And Sergeant at the time, Brandon, came out. I think he was talking to you and AJ. He kept pointing at me in the car. I'm just sitting in the car like, oh,
No, they're talking about
I've never gotten days off from a place I don't work from. I think it's about to happen.
Yeah, if we hire you, you have to sit home the first 2 days.
No pay.
But yeah, he's like, yeah, you got to go back to the office for sure. And so I'm sitting there, and I felt like an idiot because I'm in my slacks, I'm covered in mud. And Lieutenant Davis called me in his office, and he's just like, so what happened, bud? Well, and he's like, well, did you not read? That's when I realized it wasn't all my fault. It was kind of on AJ too, because he asked me if if I hadn't paid attention or hadn't read the form that they had me sign,
Like,
I
what
guess
form?
with the rules, right? And I was like, I didn't do that like at all. And he's like, okay. And he kind of stopped. He's like, using common sense. He's like, did you have a?
Hold on.
He's like, did you have a vest? I was like, no. Did you have a gun? I was like, no. He's like, do you have a badge? I do remember I did have my badge. It was in my pocket. And I was like, yeah, I did actually. It was in my pocket. And he's like, you must really like your job, don't you? I was like, yeah. And he's kind of stared at me. I was like, I'm not going to get this job, am I? He's like, I don't know. He's like, go enjoy the rest of your night.
Dude, that's the great thing about Grand Prairie. We're like, I want that dude. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, we maybe taper back a bit
Right.
when you're not armed and not wearing
Right,
your
Right.
safety gear. But you know, that's the guy we want. You know.
I would get a different kind of one today if I did that.
Yeah.
But I work here.
You break your nails. So.
That was a good time. I forget what we were talking about before.
Well, he told us about his process with Kane and what it's in like certification. And we got into the
Yeah.
dogs
Oh, yeah.
and how they, you know. So, yeah.
When was the first time you realized, oh, this job is like the canine role of like, man, this is a lot? Because y'all do a lot.
I don't know if there's any one moment. I don't know. I guess when you're young, especially like I guess I was in my early 30s, you know, but I was married, but I was like, you know, if I get killed, my wife can find, she'll marry somebody else. It'll be all right,
not
you
my
know.
problem.
No, not my problem. I'm gone, you know. She
I
gets,
had the
she
opposite.
gets,
I always
she gets a
tell my
couple
wife, you better
$100,000
not marry anybody
payout.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say
I
single
told her,
and miserable
I
for
said,
the rest of your life.
go be happy, live your life, be happy. Man,
I'll come back from the dead.
having
No.
kids, having kids, put everything in perspective.
Yeah.
So that's when that's when I think the real danger really caught up to me. And like my wife, I was already a cop when we started dating. She knew what she was getting into. It was a decision she made. My kids had no choice in the matter,
Right.
you know. And I was like, how unfair is that to my kids to go out here and do this job, and I might not come home, you know. And then they have to grow up without a dad, or they have to grow up with some dude that's not their dad. You know, hopefully he loves them the way I do, but who knows, you know. And so that's when kind of all that really caught up to me was like, this is a real deal. You know, there are repercussions. Because I would always just, like you said, dude, like, not my problem to deal with. You know, like, whatever.
She'll be rich.
I go down a hero, you know, like, you know, get my name on the wall, whatever. People think about me once a year at least. And, you know, it's like hero's death, you know. What's better than that, you know?
Beats rotting away when you're old.
Yeah, but, you know, to be honest, man, being a dad's way better. So.
Yeah, it is. Well, and it's humbling because we spend our careers largely dealing with the results of fatherless homes. And granted, it's different. I mean, circumstances, and I'm sure that there is a statistical difference in the outcomes versus a dad who's like a drug addict versus someone who gets killed. But you see it over and over, and these kids growing up in a single parent household or no parents, and it's like, man, I'm gonna do that to my kids. Why? You know, you definitely have those moments. It's like, what am I? And once you, like you said, once you hit that several years in, you start seeing some of the punishments that people get for us don't line up with the amount of risk that we accepted to apprehend them, and that could be pretty disheartening too.
Yep. But. Yeah, we the last trial, like I had to testify in. It was street. It was when we were still having street takeovers, and this dude, we were chasing one car actually from the street takeover, and this dude actually was like blocking me.
Yeah, I know that one.
The Suburban, and he ends up. This lady in Arlington had made a U-turn on the highway, like on the service road. So she made a U-turn. She's had a job, working hard, doing Uber Eats or something, delivering food late at night. You know, trying to get some extra income. She hits this U-turn. This dude had turned his lights off, and we're still chasing him on the service road. So she does a U-turn. She's going back westbound. He blows through a red light. She never sees him, you know, because he's got no lights on, and he probably smoked her in the back of her car at 89 miles an hour. I was like, she's dead. There's no way. There's no way she lived. So we end up, you know, he runs. He gets to meet my dog. You know, we get him in custody.
Did they like each other?
No. It was not an amicable meeting there. I literally like get him off. I don't care about this dude. Somebody else has got him. I sprint back to my car, put Kane up. I sprint to her car, and I'm like, she's dead. I know she's dead. She was alive. Very severely injured. You know, I actually ended up meeting her at the trial.
No way.
She cried, gave me a hug, said thank you for everything you did. I still felt some responsibility, you know,
100%, yeah.
I was the one chasing him, you know, like I'm glad we got him, you know, and they had offered I think the prosecution had offered him is either 7 to 10 years in TDC because he got all sorts of felony charges from. She ended up having broken ribs, broken vertebrae in her neck, missing work. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars of hospital bills, rehab, probably living in chronic pain still, you know.
Not to mention the psychological aspect.
Yes,
Oh yeah, you know,
trauma.
and I mean, her car, it was a small like Kia or something like that. If there had been any passenger, 100% they would have died. The only seat that remained intact somewhat was the driver's seat.
Golly.
And he got 4 years from a jury. That was it. 4 years. And it's like this woman probably already had been living with these injuries for over a year, year and a half.
Right.
And this is during COVID time, so the courts were so bogged down. It may have even been longer, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
She's going to live with lifelong injuries. She's going to have arthritis. She's going to have all these things from as a result of his actions, and he got 4 little years. You know, and in TDC time, you do a fraction of that, you know? So
18 months,
he
2
might
years.
already be back out. Who knows,
Yeah.
you know? Now, he's a felon for the rest of his life, but, you know, it's not like he was an upstanding – he was already a felon, I think, and it's not like he was an upstanding citizen that was going to go look for gainful employment and pay his taxes and raise a family, you know? Like, maybe he will. Maybe he'll turn his life around. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
But I felt like 4 years was, like, really low.
Right. Especially when she's going to pay the price for
The
forever.
rest of her life,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to. How do you rationalize that?
Dude, you can't.
Yeah.
You just have to realize like sometimes things are irrational, and you just got to move on with it. I mean, if we took it to heart every time we didn't get the desired result in this job, none of us would make it to retirement. You know.
Yeah, that's very true. You think that kind of plays into your? I hope it doesn't catch up to me one day.
Yeah.
Thought process.
Oh yeah.
Red lights are kind of one of those things that we use to gauge, I guess, the mindset of the people that we're chasing.
Okay.
Is if you kind of it lets you get in their head a little bit, where you understand the level of abandon that they're running with, and if it's someone who just they're going 90 and they're coming up on a red light and there's cars around, and they continue to go 90 or they start inching towards 100, it's like, okay, this person
Somebody's going
is
to die.
completely rolling the dice. Like,
Yeah.
they might make it, they might not make it. But they're playing Russian roulette and they're cool with it. And usually in that situation, once you kind of hit your first intersection like that, you're like, okay, no. But then if you see them, you know, they're slowing down somewhat, they're clearing intersections, they're taking evasive maneuvers, whatever the case is. It's like, okay, this is somebody who the risk is still there, but it's a lesson somewhat.
Yeah, I'm going to trial actually this coming Monday on a pursuit. It was a traffic stop we made for narcotics. The guy takes off, goes back into Dallas, and it's kind of awkward trying to explain to the prosecutor, like, well, was this an extremely dangerous pursuit? And I'm like, well, yeah, but, you know, we continued the pursuit because he was slowing down at every intersection. He was yielding. Yeah, we were going fast through neighborhoods.
He wanted to
He was
live.
breaking the law. But, yeah, he wasn't out there like, I'm ready to die to get away, you know. And, you know, it also comes with the age of the offender. Like, if you know it's a 14, 15-year-old kid in a stolen Kia, their brains cannot process the danger, you know. I mean, look what just happened. You know, that car, granted, they were 21 and 22 years old, the four of them, but, you know, they were driving in a stolen Honda and flip over the bridge and explode and everybody dies, you know. So had that been a 38-year-old dude driving, or I don't know, I think it was a female driving actually, but had it been a 38-year-old person, would they have made a different decision or maybe driven a little more cautiously? Maybe, you know.
Well, think about the age of the people. Think about how often anyone over the age of 30 is involved in this stuff.
Very rarely.
Yeah, it's not all that often. I mean, it certainly happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just by and large, it's. I mean, yeah, chases, fights, whatever. Yeah, once they hit that 30ish range, I think they kind of wisen up a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, oh, my back hurts.
Yeah.
maybe I don't want to
Please.
resist this time. It's just some tickets, and I'll sit them out, and I'll be back out, and my back won't hurt, you know.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned like prepping for trial. So what does that look like for you? Because I used to do forensic interviewing and I would have to testify for criminal trial. So I remember I would just like go back, look at my interview and let me look at the transcript of the interview so I can get, okay, what did the child say? What were my questions? What is it like for you?
Kind of a similar thing. One of the things is like you got to watch your video, and now that we have body cam and dash cam, you got to watch both videos, and then they have to burn it to a CD, and you have to like signature or put your signature on it that this is a true and accurate representation of what occurred. There's been no edits to my knowledge, and it depicts everything as I saw it. And then you're just speaking with the prosecutor, like explain your experience. Experience is huge in our job.
Yeah.
Your level of training and experience. So, and just any questions they may have, maybe what to expect from a defense attorney.
Yeah.
And then they, you just kind of game plan it really and go to trial. I don't know. I just kind of wing it nowadays.
I
used to get so
similar.
nervous, and I used to get so nervous and terrified, and I have my report stuffed in my vest.
Right.
And I pull it out if I need it, and I'm just like, whatever, dude. He's probably only going to get 2 years, whatever.
Yeah. I had a robbery trial I did, and same thing. I always get real nervous, and this was the deal. They had me up there for hours.
See, that's when when you're sitting on stand a long time, it gets to you,
dude. And afterwards, I would just like crash because I don't know if it's adrenaline or what it is, but afterwards, I'm so tired.
It was like no time to zone out. You can't, even in this interview, I can't just zone out. I'm listening to everything you're saying.
Yeah.
There's no distractions,
right.
And when you're talking with your wife at dinner or whatever, you may.
You're not listening.
Yeah, you're not listening. You're like, work
Just kidding,
sucks.
babe.
Oh my God, that's so terrible.
I like you said, just kidding. That's funny.
Oh man, yeah, no, and actually, so doing this in the very beginning, whenever we were more apprehensive because we weren't used to it, like the idea of being recorded, and we were trying to do there's one. In the beginning, we tried to do 2 or 3 in a day, and at the end of it,
that'd be
I'm just like,
exhausting.
dude,
yeah,
and I never would have thought it was so mentally draining. And at the end of it, it's and I felt bad because for a while, we talked to guys afterwards, and I wouldn't remember I forget names. 'Cause a lot of these guys I don't know. Well, I forget names, what we talked about, because it all just runs together so much because you're always thinking about the next part of the conversation. It's not as bad anymore, but I was in this robbery trial, and last time I think I've been nervous on the stand, and I was talking, and the defense attorney could not stand her. I mean, she was one of those. She was really trying to paint me as like a racist and just a hothead and just. Yeah,
pull a picture of my family.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. That's actually one of my. I will never ever do that. So I hate that.
Yeah.
I actually almost slapped the crap out of one of my rookies one time because the guy was doing that, just going off about me being a racist and this, that, and the other. And then he makes a comment. He's like, "Shut up!" and talking about my family. And I was like, as soon as he did it, I was like, "Oh my God!" And what does the guy do? Switches gears and just targets that. And afterwards, the rookie I had just kind of looked at me. He's like, "I'm so sorry."
You should be.
Now you've learned.
Now walk to that street sign.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, run. You need to run to that street sign. Tell me what street we're on since you forgot.
Yep. But yeah, so I'm testifying or whatever, and the lady, I forget what exactly the interaction was, but she's just hounding me about being a racist piece of cop, and I come back. I had a retort with something, and both the prosecutors and her assistant, the defense attorney, both kind of stopped what they're doing, look at me, and like, huh, nod their head and start writing it down, and then her demeanor completely changed. And I was like, I won. I was like, cool. Like, screw you, lady. And from there on out, I never got I've never been nervous. I'm like, you're not that smart. You're just a lawyer. Yeah,
luckily I've never had an attorney that would really try to beat me up. Then they would, if I had to go testify to DWI and the whole Nitsa manual, they would fry me.
Oh yeah, I hear horror stories.
It's like how many inches can your arm be from your leg to be considered using your arm for balance? I'm like,
I didn't know that was a question.
Yeah, it is. It's 4 inches. I learned that
while looking stupid on stand.
So, yeah. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've gotten an hour where I actually enjoy testifying, but I don't get to do it anymore. I don't know if it's because we rely so heavily on video and what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last things I tested, I don't know that I've only testified a couple of times, I think, and it was in suppression situations for my role as a detective. It was always on the street.
We just don't take anything to trial, I think, in the counties we work in, because I testified a lot in Ellis County, like
Really?
a lot of DWIs, but I mean, still
Sure.
some family violence,
Yeah.
some burglaries, things like that. But it's like they offer plea deals, and if the defendant doesn't like them, well, all right, let's go to trial then.
Really?
And so we went to trial a lot. I mean, I testified maybe in a few suppression hearings and things here, some what are they called, ALR hearings?
Yeah.
But I was pretty far into my career here before I actually testified in a trial. I probably testified more in the last 2 or 3 years than I did the first 9.
You think it's just because the stuff kind of coming due, if you will?
Yeah. I think COVID kind of shut things down. I think there's just this backlog, so now we're actually going to trial a lot more because they're trying to clear all that out. So
Yeah. So we've used almost all of our time. I don't know if you've accomplished any of your goals or not.
I don't know. You're going to talk about the dog?
No, I was actually going to ask, like going forward. I mean, me personally, I would like your job looks like fun. I wouldn't do it because I'm not really a dog person, so I think I'd be doing a disservice to like just better people out there for the job than me.
Yeah.
If it could be like a 2-man unit where the one person does dog stuff and then I just
the driver.
don't answer calls and just get in chases and
Yeah.
stuff, that'd be cool. But I wouldn't imagine I'd want to do what you're doing long term, just the stress of it. So I guess where do you see yourself progressing, or do you even thinking about it?
Man, I don't know. Like one of my bigger reasons for even being a cop was I didn't want to be in an office. Like I kind of forgot about that part when you asked earlier, but like I remember being 18 and like, what do I want to do? I don't want to be in an office. What's something I can do outside? I don't really want to do manual labor. That sucks.
Right. I want to be like outside, but
yeah, I want to be
on
outside. I want to
vacation.
be doing
Yeah.
stuff, but I don't really want to sit in an office behind a desk. And I was like, maybe I'll be a cop. It's kind of the same thing. Like, dude, I can't do the detective thing. It's just not in me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd grow into it eventually, but God, right now it just sounds like the worst job. So, I mean, I'd like to work another dog.
Oh, really?
If the department lets me, yeah, I'd love to work another dog. Keep doing it. There's a huge. I don't even know how to. There's our skill set is a lot to give up to somebody new, and it's like I've developed these skills and understanding how dogs work and how to be the most efficient and the most successful, and I'm like I finally feel like I've hit my stride, right. And then so I don't want to just give it up.
Like recently,
can I do it again? No, I mean the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean I have a phenomenal dog. I'm sure some of the guys we train with, we train with a bunch of agencies. They're gonna listen to this probably, but I mean he's the envy of the group most of the time.
Really?
Like a lot of the guys say, like if I could pick a dog, I'd pick your dog.
Wow.
One of the guys that I actually think has a phenomenal dog as well. He even told me, he's like, yeah, if I could select another dog, I'd select your dog instead of mine. So no, that's like the biggest compliment.
That is.
When you get it from your peers, it's like, dude, you gotta. And I don't know that it's necessarily did I do a great job with him? Probably a part of it, small part of it. But just his genetics, the way his personality, his demeanor, he's just fantastic. So
It's a lot less complimentary when people say it about your spouse, though.
yeah, I'm like, well, you can have her, whatever, dude.
Not where I was going with that.
If she's so
Sorry,
great,
Jamie.
pay your bills. Then.
Oh man. So obviously you're kind of in a unique position because being K9, everybody wants to do what you do. You talk to people who want to be cops. It's like I want to be homicide or I want to be K9.
Right.
If you have to give advice to anybody that is looking at policing with kind of that end goal in the back of their mind, what advice do you have for them?
It's the same thing we tell the guys here. Like, you got to come out and you got to come to training, and not just once, not just twice. Like, you need to come out once or twice a month for years.
Right.
You've got to see, because a lot of people see the successes or they see the fun side, like, oh, you get to play fetch with your dog and you get to brush him out at work and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah,
Try playing fetch with a person.
Oh yeah.
but there's so, like, we were just training last night, man, and even guys that have had dogs for months or years, and just you get so frustrated sometimes because you don't do well, and there's a lot of ups and downs in what we do, and I've seen it at other agencies. Fortunately, we haven't had it here, but I've seen it at other agencies where guys get a dog, they go through the training, they spend a few months doing it, and they decide, dude, I can't do this.
Really?
I'm ready to move on. Yeah, like I'll go be a detective or whatever. This isn't for me. It's
What do you think that is for the most part?
because people have a view of they have one vision of what it is, and it's not that. Like, you ever clean diarrhea out of the back of your squad car?
No.
get a dog, guess what? It's going to happen. Luckily, no diarrhea. I've only had vomit, but it's cool. People don't think about that.
No.
Yeah, no, I couldn't do your job. I'm just not a dog person.
I
think it might be a little different because your dog does stuff.
Yeah,
it's useful.
Well, he's chill too.
My dog just converts oxygen to.
No, he's there.
He has actually spoiled me because I don't even want pets anymore because I'm just like, dude, you're so useless. Like, I look at my other dogs, I'm like, you guys are useless. You don't do anything. You're sweet. No. You cuddle with my kids at night, but you don't do anything. I'm like, this dude finds drugs. He finds bad guys. He's putting people in prison. Like, that's cool. Like, he's living. And
maybe it's y'all's fault. My wife's she's like, there's something wrong with you. Like, most people don't expect their dog to go get a job.
To do that, yeah.
I don't know. I've seen y'all's dogs, and it's like you, and it doesn't help. My dog is super skittish. Like, you would think we just beat him. Like, I don't know. Maybe we got him when he's 6 weeks old. So I don't think anyone's beaten a 6-week-old dog. At least I hope not. But dude, he has PTSD from just being alive.
Yeah, we've got one of my dogs. She's scared of everything. She's scared of her shadow.
Yeah.
And then Kane's like the complete opposite. Just like, oh, whatever, man.
Yeah, it's like y'all used to be wolves. Like, I used to actually live in the wild.
You used to have to hunt for your food. Now I just pour it in a bowl and you sniff it and you're like, nah, I don't want this one. Why don't you give me the wet food today?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Warehouse gets broken into, dark, wooded area. We know video alarm or something. We know guys are in here. It's like, hey, we have a good offense. Break out the dog. What are you doing? Like start from, hey, you pull up, you throw the car in park. What does it look like for you?
Well, getting him ready. It depends on what's the temperature. If it's hot, probably not going to put his ballistic vest on him because it's pretty cumbersome. But if we know where he's at, we're just going in to get this guy. He refuses to come out. I'll probably put his ballistic vest on him just to be safe in case something happens. And just, getting a perimeter set, getting descriptions, making sure we verified offenses. We get called out to a lot of other agencies to assist too, and they'll be like, we got a burglary, and this guy's got all these weapons, and they're running, and they're hiding, and then you get there, and they're like, okay, well, so they stole a 12-pack of beer from QT, and then they said F you as they were running, and so we want you to send the dog in there to get them. I'm like, well, buddy, I can't, this is a theft, and they hurt your feelings by cussing at you? Like, I can't send a dog in there to go bite them.
Right.
So that's like my first thing now is always like verify if we find this guy and we put him in jail, what are we charging him with? Right. Don't tell me, I think burglary. Tell me burglary of a building, burglary of a habitation, whatever, evading arrest. Tell me exactly what you're going to charge because I need to make sure that we have met that threshold, set by our courts to utilize this type of use of force.
So you better be sure before you let go of that leash.
Yes.
Absolutely, 100% sure.
Okay. Have you ever been speaking of the weirdness in my mind with the warehouses is because have you ever driven in a warehouse really fast?
I've done that once or twice.
Did you get in trouble for that?
No.
That was awesome.
It's just a pursuit, stolen vehicle.
It is just one of those. So it's a pursuit. I forget exactly how it went, but we're watching the video because every time there's a cool anything, we always stop what we're doing and watch. Someone pulls it up. We watch the video together, and we're watching this video, and you might can explain a little better, but it's a car chase, stolen car. At some point, this chase goes from a road to off the road to inside of a warehouse, and they're just flying down. There's like a freaking like a granite pillar, and he's like zigzagging around. It was awesome. It was
the old I don't even know what they call them, like Lockheed buildings or something. He used to build, I think, the B-52 bombers, and it's technically in Dallas, right there at 14th and Jefferson. And so we're actually watching it. That's Dallas, but there was all sorts of people living in. They were all abandoned. There's people living in there, finding stolen cars. They had actually had a chase a week or two that started way somewhere else and actually ended up inside of it. Right. And the guy wrecks into a pillar, runs on foot. He actually ended up getting away that night. So I was like, okay, well. As cops, we go to our honey holes, and I'm keeping an eye on this place. I see a truck pull out. He drives into Grand Prairie a little bit, and I happen to run his plate, and boom, it's stolen. So call it out on the radio. They're sending guys to me. I haven't stopped him yet. Get somebody with me, and as soon as I light him up, he takes off and he goes straight back into the building. They're building B-52 bombers there, so it's a massive warehouse. And so we're driving. There's debris, and it's been abandoned for a long time, so there's just crap everywhere. And he's running. We're turning, weaving through pillars and stuff. He actually kissed a wall at one point, kind of hit it with the front of his car, and I guess eventually he realized this dude's going to keep chasing me, and he just pulled over and gave up. And it was very convenient because they had these giant like rectangular holes in the ground. They used to be covered by grates. I think it's where they would let like fluids and oils drain down into there. And of course, you know, the thieves were there. They scrapping all that. So it was missing. So I actually clipped one as I made a corner. I clipped it with my rear tire, and it popped my tire completely. So I was actually like, I was like starting to lose control. I was like, what in the world's going on? My car's driving weird. And luckily he gave up, and we all came to stop and got him in custody. But yeah,
that was a great video.
Yeah.
I always enjoy watching yours and Grant's because both of y'all can drive.
Yeah.
And yeah, if the people can be caught, y'all are gonna
catching them as long as there's not too much traffic.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true. That's different.
I'm on day shift right now, so it's just oddly enough, like 10 a.m. to like 3 p.m. is like your prime time, and then after that you're screwed.
Yep.
There's no chasing cars. Too much traffic.
Cool. Well, was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
No, it wasn't.
Did you work in any of your phrases
No,
then?
I still didn't.
Not even in what the hell?
No, I know.
I was
what
like,
I was gonna say is like
you were like you brought the ballistic vest, and I was like trying to laugh. I was like,
it was like putting his ballistic vest. Like, yeah, we're going into the midst of Babylon. You know, like.
Oh yeah.
What does that even mean?
It was a stepbrother. I was going to hit the table. It's for stepbrothers. I don't know.
That's funny.
I don't know. Was I flat?
What do you mean?
So flat? That's another one.
Was I flat?
Flat during the interview?
I don't remember that in Step Brothers.
No. When they're singing in the car. The not the main characters, it's the
Step brother.
The bag
brother,
and his wife singing, the whole family singing, and then the
you're
wife does her part, and he's like, "You're flat, so flat."
True.
God, that movie's so good. I was waiting for you when you brought up the ballistic vest. I was like, okay, you're gonna talk
Work
about,
it in.
dude, your tire went flat.
Yeah,
You could have said it then. Damn
it's
it.
flat. It was so
Could've
flat.
been.
See, I missed it. I'm not that quick on my feet.
Because you
like
wanted to respond to the question.
I know.
Too,
I get so like focused. I'm trying to be PC and not get everything
the
edited
story,
out.
what the experience
Yeah.
was. That's a lot.
Have you seen? There's a meme, and it's a cop, and he's like sitting at his desk eating donuts with his feet kicked up, and it shows his wife like on another picture, and she's like got kids hanging on her, and she's like disheveled, and the kitchen's a mess, and she's calling the husband like, "Hey, honey, how's work?" And he's like, "Oh, it's so stressful, it's so bad right now. I'm sorry, we're so swamped, you know." And he's like, in reality, man, his feet are kicked up, chilling, eating a donut. You know?
No.
There is some variation that does happen every once in a while.
I relax at work nowadays. Like,
Oh, dude.
not that it's stressful or bad at home, but
Right.
like, it's tough. You know, it's tough. You know, I got a 3 and a 4-year-old, and they're a handful.
Dude, having that fourth one, like going back in age like that, changed so much for us. I pull up and I just sit there in front of my house. I'm like, I can do this. I can do
Before
this.
you go.
And then like I get to the front door and I'm like, I can do this without drinking.
Turn it on.
I can do this without-
Now, there's nights. I mean, I get off between 5 and 6 now, and there's nights where like deployment's going to go do something. I'm like, you guys need overtime? I can stay for overtime. You need a dog? I can stay for overtime. It's
Yeah.
like,
Stay
just
late.
to,
if I
like-
can make it to like 8:30, the
Right.
kids
Yeah.
will be in bed, they'll be asleep, and I can just take a shower and go to bed. And you know, but
Sorry, babe. So hard.
sometimes you just need a break.
Dude, working the desk, I'll mess up sometimes because I'll be like, yeah, it's, I'm super busy. And I am busy, but it's a different kind of busy. Like, I
Right.
should be doing my job more sometimes than I am, but I'll forget. I'll be on the phone with somebody. I'm on Instagram, and I'll send my wife an Instagram video that's funny. I'm like, oh, crap. Like,
She's gonna know. She's gonna know. I was.
I had
So
Instagram
you
time.
had the time
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, because I like sometimes I look on Instagram or whatever, and I get messages, and I'll see like my wife, and it's like she was last logged on 10 hours ago, and I'm like,
Right.
wow, dude, I've been on Instagram for like 3 hours solid today. Like, damn, she must be stressed out at work.
Completely.
Sounds like a bad job. Man, thin blue line.
Yeah, keeping the streets safe.
That's funny.
You know, we can't be hard chargers the whole shift. You know, like you got to have some downtime, you got to have some camaraderie.
Oh,
you
definitely.
You got to have a mental break.
Yeah.
All right, well, Carlos is looking at me like he thought he was going to go to jiu-jitsu or something, and I'm messing that up.
Not
so.
today, bud. Not today.
Come on.
Well, I appreciate you doing it, man. I know you were skeptical at first, like most cops, but I'm glad you did. It's just as fun as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Bring me back. I'll have a whole new set of phrases.
Oh yeah.
You won't get it.
Yes, just do it right at the beginning.
I'll
You
be
said
better.
all
I'll be
together, and
better
then
next
keep moving.
time.
I don't. Not for a second. I'll believe that.
Well, I only had like 12 hours to prepare for this. If I had like a day or two to like, okay, how am I going to work these in? Where am I going to say them? Maybe I would have been better prepared. So
Maybe we'll try again.
Yeah.
I also got off work at midnight last night and then woke up at 6 to go to the gym and then be back at work. So
Well, if you stop trying to avoid bath time, those kinds of things wouldn't happen.
we were training on Wednesday nights, so I was at my training, doing my job.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Well, until next time.